Hey, my name is Matthew Roche. I'm a program manager at Microsoft. And in this video, I'd like to talk to you about exactly what that means, or at least what it's meant to me. Let's see where it takes us. Right, I'm recording this video because a week or two ago, a friend of mine reached out and he asked, could you record a video talking about what it means to be a technical PM at Microsoft? And my initial reaction was, well, technically, in my current role, I'm not really a standard technical PM. And anyway, what a PM means really depends a lot on the org that you're in and the products that you're shipping. And it was around at this point that I realized this is probably what he wanted me to talk about in the video. So for background on me, I've been with Microsoft for a little bit under 12 years. I joined in 2008, and I've worked on a variety of different products, primarily around business intelligence and enterprise information management. So think SQL Server, think Azure, think Power BI, where I am today. And the commonality between these different roles and these different teams is that Microsoft has some of the most interesting problems to solve. One of the things that I love about being a program manager at Microsoft is I know that my day-to-day work improves the lives of millions of people around the world. And obviously every day doesn't make a huge difference for all of those millions, but the products that I've worked on and the features that I've shipped and the ways that I've helped other people that I've worked with do their jobs and ship their features and support their customers better, the fact that we're building things as part of Microsoft and we're shipping features as part of Microsoft products and services, it means that our day-to-day work does make a real difference for real people around the world. As a program manager, the primary responsibility of the role is to represent the voice of the customer. Even though program managers can and do write code, they can and do communication, both inbound and outbound communication, the most important thing that a program manager will do is to represent the needs of the customer so that as the features are being built and tested and shipped and supported by the engineering team that works with the program manager, at every point along the way, the program manager is representing why we're doing what we're doing, how it's important, how it will be used, and ensuring that that customer perspective, that the voice and the needs of the customer are represented at every step along the way. If we think about what the program management discipline entails, even though there's probably as many answers to this as there are program managers at Microsoft, a wise man told me years ago, and to be fair, a wise man told someone that I was working with, and that person told me, but we'll go back to the original wise person. So a wise person once said that a program manager is part developer. So if we picture the top of the triangle here, part developer because the program manager needs to have an informed technical perspective. Even though a program manager is unlikely to be writing code that actually ships as part of their product, it's very common for program managers to do prototype code or proof of concept code, or at the bare minimum, to be able to understand what it is that their developers, the engineers that are shipping and writing and shipping the features, what it is that they're doing to implement the features that the program manager has envisioned. Without that deep technical foundation, the program manager would be challenged in those engineering or architectural conversations. Even if you're not doing the work, you need to understand that technical work that's being done. And if we look at that triangle, go back to that triangle of the program management discipline, if development or engineering is one aspect, project management is another. Now this is a key part of the job because as you're going from start to finish, as you're defining and designing and shipping new capabilities, you need to have the rigor and the discipline to ensure that the things that need to be done are being done, that they're being validated, that they have the right quality. And in order to do that, a lot of the role of the program manager comes down to that organization and discipline that is traditional for project managers. It's important to state you don't need to be a rock star project manager. You don't need to be super organized to be very successful as a program manager, but you do need to have these skills in order to succeed. And the third aspect of the triumvirate of skills, the triangle view of a program manager, is communication. Now, when this was originally shared with me, they had actually said not communication, but marketing. They said to me, or my friend said to me, you're part engineer, you're part project manager, and you're part marketer. And this comes down to the fact that you need the ability to communicate the importance of your feature, the value, the impact that your feature will have, but marketing is just one specific type of communication. A successful program manager needs to be able to listen to what customers need, to understand not just what they're asking for, but why they're asking, to understand the pain that they're feeling because they don't have your incredible new future feature, and how you can design and deliver a feature that's part of a product that doesn't only solve one person or one customer's problems, but it solves a category of problems that can have a large impact for a greater number of people in different scenarios. So if we think about what the program management discipline or the program management role is, in some ways it's the combination of software development, project management, and communication. And depending on the individual PM, depending on the team that they're on, and depending on where they are on a given project or effort, the importance of these different skills or criteria will change over time and on each of these dimensions. Now, for me personally, the greatest joy of being a program manager is being able to see something end to end. Now, as a program manager, I have the ability, first and foremost, to engage with customers to understand their problems. So before I start coming up with ideas for things to do, I want to talk to customers through, there's lots of channels that are available, so don't stress the details here just yet. It will vary from team to team, but I can talk to customers and understand what they're doing today, where their current tasks and their current tools are frustrating to them, how much time they're wasting, or how much workarounds they're doing to work around the challenges or the gaps in the current product or the current process. And based on all of this understanding of the problem, I can start to hypothesize what a solution looks like. And this is very iterative, but I can essentially talk to customers to see where they're struggling. I can get deeper information about what the actual opportunity is, and with that, I can have an informed idea about the solution. Before I build it, I'll go back and I'll validate it with those customers, and probably with other customers as well, to make sure that it is generalizable and our understanding of the problem is complete enough to ship something. Once that's done, we'll come up with a design. And the program manager will work with developers and architects to come up with both a functional spec and a technical spec. So we basically have what the solution or what the feature will look like. And then the program manager will work with the developers and the architects as well to actually guide the implementation end to end. So there will always be questions that need that customer perspective that the PM represents. And making sure that from the time we have the idea to the time that we design a solution to the time that the implementation is complete, it's the program manager's responsibility at each step along the way to ensure that everyone knows why we're doing it and how customers will get value from it. How is it going to be used? The program manager will make sure that the feature or the new capability, the product, is ready for release. And as part of that readiness process, this may involve things like documentation. It may involve things like having focus groups or running a private preview to get early customers evaluating and kicking the tires and providing feedback to make sure not only does it say what the developers say that it will do, but also that it does what the customers need it to do to solve the problems that it was designed to solve. And once that feature is available, a new product is shipped, or a new feature or capability is added to a service through the ongoing release cycle, it's the program manager's joy, it's the program manager's responsibility to also evangelize and to make sure that people know, here's a thing that we've shipped, stop doing things the old way, or if you had this problem, now you can have this new solution to it. Part of this will be in feature, but for me, this could often involve things like user groups or webcasts or conference presentations. Being a program manager, even though it can be a very technical role, and you're working with a bunch of other geeks building and shipping these exciting things, if you're interested in a more public aspect to the role, there's always an opportunity for people who are strong on the communication side to go out there and to represent their products on stage in front of dozens or hundreds or thousands of people. And it's, for people that are interested in such things, it's a great opportunity. One aspect of shipping products as a Microsoft PM, I mentioned earlier that it's that you're making lives better. You're making you're improving the lives of many people around the world. A corollary of this, or another aspect of this, is that people care about what you're doing. Being a PM at Microsoft, you can also be the public face of your features, and this means that when you blog, when you have a webcast or a podcast or other public communication, there's an audience out there that is eager to know what you're doing, what you're working on, and how the thing that you've shipped can work, and that community aspect of things can be very fulfilling and validating as well. As with many things, the program management role comes down to people and process and technology, but at least in my experience, the people aspect of being a program manager is really at the core of things. You work with customers to understand their problems and what would need to happen to solve those problems. You work with engineers to make sure that you're building and shipping features that solve the problems, but do it in a technically efficient, well-performing, cost-effective way. You may work with designers that will build a user interface that is intuitive and useful and flows and is modern. You work with fellow program managers. You're never working in isolation. You're always part of a team with people that will support you and complement you and help you grow in your career. And you're working with other teams as well. Even though this is something that you do more as you are more senior in your career, working with people from other teams or other orgs or other parts of Microsoft, it's a huge opportunity. And even though you will start with one team, so you start in one team working on one product, typically at Microsoft, after 2 or 3 years, you will have solved the problems that you came in to solve. You've shipped the features that you came in to ship. So you've come in, you've made a difference, you've grown. Once you've solved the problems for today, Microsoft has this amazing field of opportunity where you can look around and find other problems in other teams, and that work that you've done, the cross-team work that you've done shipping your first set or your next set of features and capabilities, it allows you to build relationships and friendships to find where your next opportunity will be. And even though this sounds, I don't know, I sound like a recruiter as I listen to myself, it sounds like a pitch, my experience has been very much like that, where as I move from role to role and from org to org, it's the people that I worked with 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago that I find myself working with again on new products under new leaders, shipping new things. And it always comes back to who are the customers, because the people, the process, and the technology, the customers are always the most important people. Let's go back to the beginning of the video. So the reason that I'm here in front of the camera with the lights and the microphone is because my friend Christopher reached out to me and he basically said, it's like, hey, we're looking for a video, what it's like to be a tech PM. Now imagine you are about to graduate from college, what would you want to know? And the first thing that I thought of there was, well, I've never graduated from college, so how would I know that, right? So I do not have a degree. I've been with Microsoft for around 12 years. I've been in industry for around 25, but I was a lousy student. So if you are coming to Microsoft with a degree, with a CS or other degree, you'll definitely have a step up. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to reach out to people on my team or on teams that I worked with on a regular basis to make sure that it wasn't just my voice being reflected. So let's actually head over to Teams and see what a few of my peers had to say about their experience as PMs at Microsoft. Let's see. All right, so when I was done filming the last section of the videos, when I was done filming my part, I reached out to two members of the Power BI team. I reached out to Tessa and I reached out to Will. They're at different stages of their career with different roles and responsibilities, but they're both program managers, and I asked them three basic questions. So the first one I asked was, what do you do as a PM at Microsoft? So I didn't say what the question meant, but basically, what do you do?
I look after a particular set of features in a feature area. Most of my role, since we are a product team, is that we work with, as a PM, I work with engineers, designers, user researchers, and data scientists, and talk to customers and try to synthesize all of this information to better understand the functional spec of a feature. And in addition to this, part of that figuring out what the functional spec looks like is also taking into account costs and timelines and figuring out what milestones you can deliver a feature in incrementally so that you can get early user feedback and get customers working with parts of a solution as you drive the more complete feature to production.
So I am what's called a group program manager, which means I manage a set of PMs. I'm their team leader, or they report to me. And my specific area is a tool called Power BI Desktop, which is a tool for people to bring data together, build visualizations, analyze their data, and find interesting insights in that data. And so my day-to-day role, it's partly supervisory in that I've got other people who are doing lots of the detail work, but I do get to do some of that as well. And for a PM, that means often sitting in meetings and debating with other people, other engineers or designers or whoever they might be. How best do we go and design a feature, build a feature to serve whatever request it is that's coming in from our customers. And so for me, that means thinking about what does a customer need, and then deciding how's this feature going to work. When I click on this button, what's it going to do? You know, if something goes wrong, how are we going to tell the user that it goes wrong? And what does it say in those error messages? What things do we put on a screen for somebody to click on or drag or interact with that helps them analyze that data, helps them find insights in that data?
So the second question that I asked was, what is the most important skill, behavior, or practice that makes you successful as a program manager at Microsoft?
I think it's hard to limit it down to one particular skill or one that would be more important than others. I think some of the common ones that people talk about are having clear communication and being organized. But as I feel like I start to settle into the role more, sometimes I feel like the most important skill at the point in time can vary depending on where I am in the life cycle of different projects. But some things that I've been thinking about more recently are being flexible as fires come up or plans change in your semester planning. And another thing I've been thinking about a lot is as PMs, we do have a lot of meetings with different teams and people in different roles. So sometimes context switching can be a little bit difficult. And I definitely think it's a skill to practice and get more used to.
So personally, I think the one that makes the biggest difference is empathy. Having empathy for your customers and your users, and really being able to understand how do I spend time with those users and those customers to be able to understand what drives them in their work. You know, what is or in their usage of my product. You know, it may not be a business scenario, it might be a consumer product too. It's about understanding what are they trying to achieve with this bit of technology that they're using. Is it that they want to just click some buttons, get a result, and go home? Is it that they want use this technology to make a connection with another person somewhere? Is it that they want to use this technology to, change something in the way that they do business with their customers? Understanding what are those goals that those users have got, and then being able to empathize with the other constraints they have on their time or their skill set, or the environment that they're working in, whether there's somebody sitting at a desk working at a PC, or whether they're out on a mobile device somewhere, or whether they're sitting on a couch, using something from 20 feet away. Being able to really understand all of those constraints and requirements that users have, and being able to translate that into how best do we build a product and build features to help them.
And the third question that I asked was, if you could go back in time, so if you could go back and tell one thing to your about to graduate from college self, if you could go back to your past self and tell them one thing about being a program manager at Microsoft, what would it be?
So Microsoft has a ton of smart people who know more than you do and have been working on your product even before it was a product. And if I could go back and tell myself that one thing, it would probably still be to push myself to ask more questions and err on the side of giving and receiving over explanations to make sure that everyone is on the same page when you're working with other teams and when you're in meetings. And on the other side, everyone is definitely very busy and is working hard. So, but people are generally pretty open with sharing their knowledge and taking the time to chat with you and make sure that you have a better understanding of the scope and the area.
So something that somebody told me many years ago, that really stuck, was about choosing the energy levels that you bring to work. We did this weird, felt very airy-fairy at the time, exercise where there's a bunch of us, going through some introductory training, and we got given a card randomly out of a normal deck of cards. And they said, okay, we're going to do some little presentations or whatever. You can talk about whatever topic you want, something you're interested in, what you had for dinner last night, whatever it was. But match your energy levels to the value that you chose on your card, or that you got given on your card. So if you got a 2 or a 3, do a really kind of low energy and don't put any effort into it. Don't be excited. And if you got one of the picture cards, you got like a king or a queen, be really animated and be really excited and put tons of energy into whatever it is that you're doing. Right. And the card that you choose determines it. So we do this thing, and I got a jack. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. High level of energy, but not over the top. And I realized that applies in all of my work day to day, that I can choose how much energy I'm putting in, even if I've had a really rubbish day and I've had a really hard time getting my head around whatever problem it is we're trying to solve. I can still come to work choosing to be energetic if I need to be. And there's a balance, right? Because sometimes you want to take a more measured approach, and you want to get a point across in the way that you're explaining what you do, or explaining what feedback you've got from a customer, where you want to be a bit more measured. And being able to choose and swap between those was a really useful skill developed quite early on. And if I'd been able to, hit that from kind of day one being a PM, I think that would have helped me be more successful.
I hope this has been useful. If you have any additional questions about being a program manager at Microsoft, please put them into the comments below. Can't wait to hear what you think. And once you join Microsoft, please look me up. Love to talk to you.